you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Iron Lady sings that makes it official. For over 22 years, we've been bringing you the Chris Voss Show. Over 2,200 episodes, 16 years. Evidently, I'm going dyslexic in my old age. We bring you the Chris Voss Show and the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House president's advisors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, all the great minds that have been on the show over these decades. We're doing a coverage right now of CES 2025, so be sure to check that out as well. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and ChrisVossFacebook.com to see all the Chris Voss Show Facebook groups and all the crazy things that we do over there on the Chris Voss Show. Today we have an amazing young man. We're going to be talking to him about his business, what he does, how he does it, and all the work that he's put into it. Herb Cogliano? Do I have that right?
Perfect. Yes.
There we go. Herb Cogliano joins us on the show. He leads his advisory practice by leveraging the scaling up performance platform described in Verne Harnish's book, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, Scaling Up. He's an international executive business coach, experienced CEO, scaling up practitioner, and professor of the Scaling Up Master's Business Course. He's passionate about working with leaders of growth companies to achieve more freedom by creating industrial leading strategies, fostering a culture of accountability, driving flawless execution, ensuring healthy cash flow within their organizations, which is good to have. He professionally was the CEO of Sullivan and Cogliano Designers, a 53-year privately held family-owned technology staffing and workforce solution firm. And in 1983, he founded the Sullivan and Cogliano Education Business. Welcome to the show. How are you, Herb?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year to you and your listening audience, and I look forward to a great conversation.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of what you guys do there at your company and your .coms as well. Let's get into that.
Yeah, so what I simply do is work through how business owners and their leadership team can scale up their company for higher valuation, give the leader and owner time to work on the business versus in it, and then help you reduce drama with clients and employees.
There you go. No one likes drama. I mean, maybe some people do. Actually, I think some people thrive on it, but most people don't. Because you got enough headaches, right, in a business when you're doing a business and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you know what happens, Chris? We got into this because our business went through struggles and challenges. The more employees, the more locations, the more clients, the complexity to run the business increases and we get stuck.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. So tell us a little bit about your journey through life. How did you become an entrepreneur? How did you get into some of these businesses, in your words? And then, of course, that journey that you went through that you just cited.
Yeah, grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My father was the founder of our staffing business, 1966, always talked about work around the dinner table, loved the impact that he had in getting people jobs, gainful employment. I saw how other people reacted to that positive impact that he had on the people and the staff that we work with, and knew immediately at a young age that I wanted to be in business and be an entrepreneur helping people. I'm very focused on delivering purpose with profits. The more profit we have that can keep our company financially stable, that we can reinvest into doing more good things, the stronger our purpose is and the ability to make a difference in the world.
Definitely. Why do you feel it's important to make a difference in the world?
I think we were all given certain talents that make us unique and special. And I think a company is a combination of our collective talents. And when we put those talents to good use, normally good outcomes happen to our communities, our families, and the clients and people that work with us. And that's just something personally that means a lot to me. I can work, but why not work and do good work at the same time?
That's the great thing about being an entrepreneur. A lot of times we try and solve problems, sometimes just for ourselves. You know, we look at a widget and we go, God, I could make that widget better. Why don't they make that widget better? Sometimes people contact, like Lamborghini, I think, did to Ferrari and say, hey, I think I know how to make something better. And they're like, no, blow it off. And people go and make their own thing and make it better. So what type of clients do you work for? If people are out in the audience, what type of clients do you usually handle? Do they need to have a minimum net worth, minimum spend, things like that?
My clients are normally companies that are 15 to 200 employees that are trying to get from 5 to 100 million in revenue. I find two goals. The first client under 10 million, how do I get to that $10 million company revenue mark? Mm-hmm. And only 1% of the 38 million companies in this country ever make it to 10 million a year. And that blew my mind that 99.5% never make it. Mm-hmm. And why does that occur?
There you go. Why doesn't it occur?
Yeah, three things. Number one, we are a lifestyle company, some of us, and we enjoy keeping it small and keeping it very focused, and nothing wrong with that. But we have a group of other people that want to get bigger, but they don't know how to hire, develop, and retain next level leadership. Mm-hmm. They do not know how to deal with scalable infrastructure, more people, more clients, more locations, more complexity. And they don't know how to navigate changes in market dynamics, competition, commoditization. And because they don't change, their business ultimately stays flat or dies.
Wow. Yeah. You got to keep growing. So your focus is on the mantra of scaling up. What does that mean exactly to you in your words and what you're trying to do for your clients?
Yeah, it's normally a company that is not a startup. They have a company of at least $1 million or more in revenue. So they have at least a proven concept.
Okay.
But they don't know how to scale into different markets, different products, different territories. And they don't know how to develop the team to help them do that, deal with the financing and cash needs that growth sucks cash, and how to execute properly, keep people accountable, and do it in a way where clients and people are happy.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Chris, think about it. Most entrepreneurs are very good in the beginning at delegating. They have a skill. They do it well. They want to bring it to the world. They hire a bunch of people around them that they can delegate, do A, do B, and the people do it well. You have a problem when you go to those people later and say, I now need you to make the decisions. I now need you to hire other people. And yet you didn't hire them for that in the beginning. You hired them because they took direction and got stuff done. And that creates a mismatch. And some people never make it over to the leadership that's needed to go from 15 to 50 to 100 people or more.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people aren't qualified too.
No.
To make that journey. So it's kind of a qualification thing as well. It's interesting how that whole thing will work. So you sit down, you help them scale up. Now, these are companies and or executives that work with you. You can do either or.
I normally work with business owners and their senior leadership team. They're typically 3 to 5, 5 to 7 people on a leadership team with the owner. And the owner is engaged in the business. They're active owners. But I have quite a few owners that are struggling with succession planning.
Yeah.
They don't want to run the day-to-day. They want to own the company still, but maybe they want to work in a different area, but they want somebody else to be CEO. And I have several wonderful clients that we've done succession planning that's worked out really well for them, keeping the business and yet keeping it in good hands with somebody that can actually run it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big thing that people don't realize. I think is one of the issues with scaling up, people not delegating, where they delegate stuff and all that good stuff. They're holding too much of their own power and doing everything themselves.
I think that can be a symptom for some of the owners. Some of the owners themselves don't know how to delegate, and some of the owners do know how to delegate, but they don't have the right people in the right seats to delegate to. So it normally can happen in one or both places. And we work with them using tools on how to hire the right people in the right position and delegate the right things that they can be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Delegation is so important in doing work, because so many entrepreneurs, they try and do everything themselves, and you can't do everything yourselves and scale. It just doesn't work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I look at 3 simple things to help an owner delegate. Number 1, are you clear about what needs to be delegated? Number 2, is there a KPI or metric that if you delegated it successfully, that we could measure to know if it was successful or not? And number 3, do you close the loop with regular follow-up meetings and reports for people to be accountable and report out on whether or not they are achieving what you wanted to delegate correctly? When you have all 3 in place, things are good. But have you ever heard when people abdicate? I told you what I wanted. I told you the number I needed, but there's no follow-up. There's no closing the loop on a consistent basis. People will have trouble. They need additional support, additional resources. And I find it's not successful when we're missing one of the 3 items, and it's very easy to help the owner fix that once they realize it.
Yeah. I mean, people, they think that they can do all the best work, and they don't delegate. They don't learn to trust their people. I mean, that's why you hire these people, is so that you can trust them, and so they can do their jobs and stuff. So that's really important as well. One thing you talk about is changing a growth path, taking a look at your cash flow, your profitability, and your valuation. And imagine for valuation, you're talking about, the resale potential for your company. Talk to us a little bit about some of those things you work with companies on.
If you think about an owner, they're taking 100% of the risk in starting a company and holding on to a company, hopefully for many, many years. And at the end of that journey, whenever it is, you just hope that they're building a value in their company that is really worthy of the time and the risk they put into it. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, you need a company that can show consistent growth, whether it's in sales, gross margin, profitability, and cash. And when you can build a company with those type of outcomes, then you will steadily increase the valuation and worth of the company if you ever get to a point where you want to sell it. Mm-hmm. Now, some people don't want to sell, but in our situation, we went through a point where I was growing and I needed more cash. And because the bank saw good numbers, good cash, good profit, I could go to them and get more money to fund the growth that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So it's not always a sale. Sometimes it's funding for additional growth as you continue.
There you go. So you can get those maybe potentially future rounds, et cetera, all that good stuff. Oh. So what do you find a lot of entrepreneurs are struggling with these days? What is their biggest thing? AI? God, what else is there?
I think AI is part of the equation, but I hear big things around leadership, identifying next level leaders, and people who can lead independently, autonomously within these mid-market companies that are not used to leading, And then the second thing is sales and marketing. A lot of markets are changing and people are not getting the same sales leads and sales closure rates that they used to. Mm-hmm. And so sales and marketing, understanding, is your company in the right position? Are you delivering? Do you have the right products or services people still need? Or are they commoditized and being replaced by AI or different types of competitors? Mm-hmm. So if you want to scale, you need markets that are growing, and you need markets where your position in the market is distinctive and adds a lot of value. And a lot of companies have lost their kind of positioning, and that's why their sales are off. And we need to help reposition or pivot the company into the next growing market to restart the growth they used to have.
There you go. Get that growth going. A lot of people, do you find that they fail to innovate? Is that one of the things that you find with them?
I think what's happening, Chris, is that the rate of innovation is increasing. Mm-hmm. So what we used to think innovation was in a small mid-market company 5 years ago has accelerated so much quicker that we need to pick up our innovative pace inside of our companies. And some people are really just getting up to speed. We're behind.
Wow. We're that far behind on stuff.
Some.
Yeah, some. It's a thing where people have got to, stay. You've got to, if you don't innovate, everybody else will innovate with you. You help people instill accountability across their teams and ignite passion. Give us some maybe tips and tricks to utilize there that you can tease out.
The first simple thing I ask an owner, do all of your employees know whether or not they had a good day or a good week at work? You would be surprised, Chris, if you went to company, employee to employee, and asked that question, how many do not have specific KPIs or metrics that they measure to tell them whether or not they had a good day or good work or a good week.
Wow.
And that's leadership's job in hiring a person, in funding the person, to give them clarity of what success is. If I'm in sales, is it 10 appointments a week and $20,000 worth of sales closed? Mm-hmm. If I'm in customer service, is it a 95% same-day response rate and an 85% customer satisfaction rating or better? If I'm in finance, is it receivables, average days outstanding, less than 30 days, and 2 months cash on hand?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Most people don't have them.
Yeah. Most businesses are operating pretty freaking thin.
Yes.
When it comes down to it. And keeping those employees happy. I mean, it's kind of interesting where trying to keep everybody happy nowadays, including yourself, is a hard balance to take and achieve. You've got to attract the right people. You've got to create a good strategy. You got to execute on everything, and then you got to maintain profitability and cash flow. What do you see is happening with remote work right now? Remote work's kind of an interesting thing that's impacted a lot of companies and kind of changed the way you have to lead your company.
Yeah, I think it drastically changed during COVID. It was an immediate pivot, as you know. Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of pivoting back towards this hybrid. I haven't seen major shifts in the last year. I think it's kind of settling on companies have decided whether or not they're going to be an all in the office or whether or not they're going to be all remote. And a lot of them have leaned into hybrid, come into the office 2 days a week, work from home 3 days a week. So I think it took a while for that to settle out for most companies, but I think most companies have made a decision on where they stand, and then the employees are going to make a decision on what type of company do I want to work for, on-site, hybrid, or fully virtual. And I think that's going to see itself play out in the next year or two for employers.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a wild trip, and seeing how that plays out and what's in it. So let's talk about some more of your services. I noticed that there's a few different things on your website here. There's a complimentary growth assessment.
Yep.
And there's a complimentary no-risk discovery meeting people can do with you. Tell us about those offers as well.
So think about your business is not achieving what you'd like to achieve, Chris. And you're not sure why. You have some ideas, but you're not really sure because you've been working on it for a while, and yet the business numbers are not improving. If I, as an individual, don't feel well, I go to a doctor, and I tell them the symptoms, and they diagnose what's wrong with me and hopefully give me the right medication.
Hopefully, yeah.
As a coach and a CEO of companies, I don't want to just pretend I know what the challenge is with your company. I have to do an evaluation, a diagnosis to uncover really where the challenge is. That assessment helps me diagnose, like a doctor, where your company may not be doing well. And then based upon the proper diagnosis, I can prescribe the right tool, the right methodology to help you get well. And that's simply what I do. I diagnose, I educate you on the areas where your company needs to improve. I give you medicine or tools to help you get better. And then we keep repeating that cycle over and over until you get to the desired level that you want your company to be.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Get better, do better, all that good stuff. There's another thing you have on your website, a complimentary growth kit. It looks like maybe a kit or worksheet manual.
Yeah, it's two really important things. Number one is the first chapter in scaling up is the barriers to scaling up. Mm-hmm. So it gives the owner a perspective of what are the barriers that could be stopping me. And now you've created awareness. That second one is really what I'm dealing with right now. And then the growth toolkit is complementary scaling up tools that I use with the client that I give to anybody that would like to look at them or use them, whether you use me or not. It's a complementary toolkit of things I work with to help companies get better and grow stronger.
There you go. And it looks like you got several services too on your website. There's the CEO Executive Coaching Program. There's the Mastermind Group Executive Coaching and the Leadership Team Executive Coaching. You want to tease us out a little bit of those?
Yeah, some companies haven't had the time to build out a leadership team. So maybe it's the owner and a number two, and that person really could benefit from one-on-one CEO coaching. And my coaching will help them uncover where the company needs help and then specifically how to build a leadership team bench. The second mastermind program is for smaller companies, typically under 10 million, that really want a more affordable program to get scaling up training for leadership teams that are typically no bigger than 3 to 5 people. And the third program is a private program for just the company owner and the full leadership team to use scaling up to help get their company to the desired level that they want.
There you go. This is the ways to go, and the people can help their businesses by working with you. As we go out, give people your .coms, tell people how they can onboard with you and all that good stuff.
Sure. Feel free to check me out at aspiregrowthadvisors.com. And there are complimentary assessments there. You can reach me for a complimentary discovery call. Just love to help and work with entrepreneurs that are having challenges. And even if there's nothing I can do directly, having a conversation to just confirm some things or just get a referral, I'm happy to help in any way that I can. And just thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure being here with you today.
Thank you. And thanks, Ernest, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss won the TikTok and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And that should have us.